Good morning. Please rise for the class of 2026.
Good morning. Please, everybody, take a seat. Graduates, family, friends, faculty, staff, and special guests, welcome to the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy's 2026 Convocation Ceremony for our Doctor of Pharmacy program. My name is Sarah Michelle, and I'm the Dean of the School of Pharmacy, and I am so thrilled to see you here today on this very important day, where we recognize the accomplishments of the class of 2026 and send our graduates out into the world to make a difference for the profession of pharmacy. Joining us today are members of the School of Pharmacy's faculty, many of our preceptors, and school administrators and staff. Will all of our faculty, preceptors, administrators, and staff please stand to be recognized? I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize all of the parents, grandparents, siblings, spouses, children, extended family members, and many, many friends who are here with us today or are watching on our live stream. Pharmacy school is not for the faint-hearted. It is a challenging curriculum, and students are asked to do more than they've ever done before. Your support of our graduates was critical to their successes. Graduates, please stand and give them a round of applause. So what stands out about the class of 2026 is their desire to help one another, an important characteristic of a pharmacist. You are dedicated and compassionate leaders, not only supporting each other through your 4-year PharmD experience, but also supporting and mentoring younger classmates. Many days as I walked by the 3rd floor classrooms in Pharmacy Hall just outside the dean's office, I saw you studying together, eating together, and laughing together, supporting each other through our challenging curriculum and through life. I hope the bonds that you developed while in pharmacy school extend beyond your time as a University of Maryland School of Pharmacy students. So we recently asked some of the class of 2026 to reflect on a moment from their 4 years of pharmacy school that resonates with them as a special memory or experience. Many of you reflected on meeting your classmates on the first day of pharmacy school and the special connections and bonds that you formed. Many of you also mentioned late night and early morning study sessions before an exam, leading student organizations, or presenting at professional conferences. One student remembered an academic meeting with one of our faculty colleagues, Dr. Layson Wolf, that inspired them to keep their grades up for the rest of the pharmacy school. Another student, Chloe Kim, shared, "My industry API rotation gave me insight on how drugs are developed and evaluated before reaching patients. That experience shifted my perspective from focusing only on direct patient care to realizing the broader impact pharmacists can have in drug development. It ultimately sparked my interest in pursuing a career in pharmaceutical research where I can contribute at a larger scale." And Sana Bedin said, "Serving as president of APHA ASP during my 3rd year stands out as the most meaningful experience of my pharmacy school journey. Leading such a dedicated and driven executive board was incredibly rewarding. We poured so much effort into our initiatives and positively impacted the campus and the Baltimore community. Seeing that work recognized on a national level with the Chapter of the Year award made it even more special, and it is an achievement I will always carry with me." Many of you also spoke about the challenges and changes in your life that occurred during the last 4 years. Some of you got married, some of you became parents, and some of you overcame obstacles and hurdles that threatened to derail your educational dreams. Others questioned their decision to pursue pharmacy, having to cope with the increasingly difficult curriculum. But none of you gave up. In fact, many of you did more. You sought out internships, you pursued dual degrees, graduating today not only with a Doctor of Pharmacy degree, but also a Master of Science in Regulatory Science, a Master of Science in Pharmacometrics, a Master of Science in Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics, a Master's of Public Health, or a Master's of Palliative Care. Several of you completed pathways in pharmacotherapy or pharmapreneurship. Some of you spearheaded projects that benefited your fellow students and the local and global community. And others took on leadership roles in our Student Government Association, in the University Student Government Association, or in a professional organization. I could keep going on, but I think you probably want me to get to the graduation events. This class is phenomenal. It highlights the soul of this class, and we're so very proud of you. So class of 2026, as you go into the world and start your career in pharmacy, I look forward to hearing all of your accomplishments. Some of you plan to go into community pharmacy to save patients in our neighborhoods. Others are going on to residencies to train for work on clinical teams and in specialties. Others are still going on to fellowships with visions of working in the pharmaceutical industry, and others plan to become pharmapreneurs. Whatever path you take, continue to be resilient, tenacious, and altruistic, and continue to lead. Your University of Maryland School of Pharmacy Doctor of Pharmacy degrees were hard-earned, and I'm so pleased to recognize your journey and celebrate with you today. I now ask Dr. Bruce Jarrell, President of the University of Maryland, Baltimore, to join me at the podium for the traditional conferral of degrees. Class of 2026, will you please stand? Mr. President, in accordance with the recommendation of the faculty of the School of Pharmacy, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree Doctor of Pharmacy in recognition of their successful completion of all requirements.
Greetings. To answer Dean Michelle, I am very pleased to be with you here today. Congratulations on accomplishing this. My official purpose here is to confer your degree, and so I will do so now. So to the class of 2026, under the authority granted by the state of Maryland to the Board of Regents of the University System of Maryland, and by that board and the Chancellor to me as President, I shall proceed to confer the degrees with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereunto. Dean Michelle, I am pleased to accept these candidates, and I confer upon each of you the degree Doctor of Pharmacy. Congratulations, you're now graduates.
Congratulations, class of 2026, and thank you, President Jarrell. Students, you can be seated. I would now like to introduce Dr. Sandeep Devabhakthani, the graduation speaker chosen by the class of 2026. Dr. Dev, as he is affectionately called, is a safety evaluator in the Division of Pharmacovigilance at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, where his focus is cardiovascular, renal, and endocrine products. He is a dedicated pharmacy leader and educator who we know very well because he previously served as an Associate Dean for Student Affairs at our School of Pharmacy. Before joining the FDA in 2024, Dr. Dev dedicated more than a decade of his career to the School of Pharmacy, serving as a faculty member and a clinical pharmacy specialist at the University of Maryland Medical Center. He specialized in the management of patients with cardiovascular diseases. He is the co-founder of our postgraduate Year 2 Cardiology Pharmacy Residency Program, where he served as its coordinator for 3 years. He also served as the director of postgraduate training for 7 years, overseeing the pharmacy residency and fellowship programs. That's not enough. Dr. Dev's scholarly contributions include more than 30 peer-reviewed publications in journals, 4 book chapters, and numerous presentations at national and local professional meetings. A passionate educator, Dr. Dev was recognized 3 times as Teacher of the Year by our Doctor of Pharmacy students. He received a 2021 Rising Star Award from the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy Alumni Association and the Health System Pharmacist of the Year Award in 2013 from the Maryland Society of Health System Pharmacists. Dr. Dev has served in various capacities to the American Society of Health System Pharmacists, and in recognition of his sustained contributions to health system pharmacy, he was named a Fellow of ASHP in 2026. Dr. Dev earned his Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy. He completed a postgraduate Year 1 pharmacy practice residency at the University of Maryland Medical Center and a PGY2 cardiology pharmacy residency also at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. He holds a Bachelor of Sciences in Biomedical Engineering from the University of Pittsburgh. I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Dev back to the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, where he still has many friends and colleagues. Dr. Dev.
Good morning, Dean Michelle, esteemed faculty, proud families and friends, and most importantly, the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy graduating class of 2026. Thank you for this incredible honor. Standing here, looking out at all of you, it feels like coming home. For 13 years, the halls of the school were my professional home as a faculty member and as a mentor. As I look out at all your faces, I see the same brilliant, dedicated individuals I had the privilege of working with in the clinic, the classroom, and the dean's office. I will always remember your class for your infectious enthusiasm when I taught in pharmacotherapy and the cardiology courses. And I enjoyed our social activities together, which really showed how well this class bonded. I was excited to see so many messages on social media regarding post-graduation plans. I know you all have worked hard to earn these accomplishments, so I am very proud of all of you. I know that when the announcement came last year that I was leaving the school, it came as a shock to many of you. Trust me when I say this was one of the hardest decisions of my life. Working with you was and remains one of the greatest joys of my career. At the time, my mind was, to put it mildly, a bit scrambled. I know I probably gave you a vague reason for my departure. But today, in the spirit of this milestone, I want to be vulnerable and share my story. I hope it inspires you as you start this next chapter. As pharmacists, you are trained for precision, for careful calculation, and for evidence-based decisions. This field often attracts and cultivates a certain personality. Many of us are perfectionists, detail-oriented, and what some might call type A, especially myself. This drive for perfection serves our patients well, but it can also shape our worldview. However, life and our careers are not always so linear. We are constantly having to make adjustments and adaptations, even when it doesn't come naturally. As you stand on the precipice of your careers, you might feel an immense pressure, the weight of expectations. For a long time, I struggled with this, especially with imposter syndrome. The expectations I felt, both from others and from myself, always seemed far too high for anyone to reasonably meet. This feeling of not being enough, of being an outsider looking in, is something I've known in different ways throughout my life. Whether as a hearing-impaired individual in a world built for sound, or as a proud Indian American man married to a wonderful man, I often felt I had to work twice as hard just to meet the baseline. This feeling of needing to overperform just to feel like you can belong can also make you feel not cautious. When you feel that way, you can develop a certain mindset, a voice in your head that goes, just get through this without doing harm. It's a noble thought, and it's certainly a core tenet of our profession. That voice becomes your motivator through pharmacy school, through postgraduate training, if you choose to do that, and into your career. You tell yourself, hold the status quo, maintain the balance, do not grow ambitious, for ambition can be a source of harm and suffering if it leads to failure. For over a decade, I followed that voice in my head. I built a career I was immensely proud of. I climbed the ladder from assistant professor to associate dean. I published research, I won awards, and I had the profound privilege of shaping the next generation of pharmacists, all of you. But as I climbed, a strange thing happened. The higher I got, the more comfortable I became, and the less likely I was to strive to be better. I was an expert at maintaining the status quo. I was successful, but I was also becoming stagnant. Last year, I realized I needed to break that pattern. The truth is, I was having an identity crisis, which is probably a polite way of saying I was having a midlife crisis. I looked in the mirror and wasn't sure what my purpose was anymore. Since my own graduation, I had been following a clear career ladder. I have always wanted to help people. That was always never the question, both patients and learners. But I realized I had lost my purpose because I was following a ladder that wasn't mine anymore. Don't get me wrong, I truly had the passion when I first began this journey. But somewhere along the way, I started going through the motions, checking the boxes, rather than finding genuine passion in my work. I realized that do no harm is a beautiful clinical principle that we learned in pharmacy school, but it should not apply to my life philosophy. Ambition is not a source of harm if it is rooted in purpose. So I spent a lot of time reflecting. I thought about why I entered this profession in the first place, to help people. And I asked myself if I was doing that in the most impactful way that I could. I had some interactions with colleagues from the Food and Drug Administration, also known as the FDA, over the years, and heard about the positive impact they have had on public health. The work also appealed to me because it would allow me to leverage my enjoyment of writing and research, skills I have honed here in academia, and apply them to protecting public health on a national scale. So in the back of my mind, I had always been drawn to the idea of public health, of serving the entire public on a macro level, something I had never gotten to experience. That curiosity, that spark of a new purpose, led me to explore opportunities at the FDA. And it led me to make that difficult decision to leave the comfort of academia, to leave all of you, and start over. I took a position as a safety evaluator. In doing so, I stepped off the top of a ladder that I had spent over a decade climbing and willingly placed myself at the bottom of a new one. I'm not gonna lie, it made me incredibly vulnerable. To go from being an associate dean to being a trainee again. To go from being the expert to being the one asking all the questions. It was humbling and it was scary, but it was absolutely the right thing to do because in that vulnerability, I found growth. In that discomfort, I rediscovered my passion. I was no longer just maintaining the status quo. I was striving, once again, to be better. I went from helping one patient understand their medication at the bedside to analyzing data that informs the safety of that medication for millions of Americans. In that shift, I found a renewed sense of purpose. Today, you are the one starting a new chapter. You will face your own moments of doubt. You will feel the pressure of expectations. You will feel the pressure to be the best and the fear that you are not good enough. You will encounter people you perceive as better than you. You will be tempted to play it safe, to hold the status quo. So here's my advice to you. Embrace the uncomfortable and step out of your comfort zone. Do not be afraid to be vulnerable. Recognize that your purpose may evolve, and when it does, have the courage to follow it, even if it means taking a step back to move forward in a new direction, like I did. You don't have to chase the highest position to practice at the top of your license. You just have to find the position that allows you to practice at the top of your passion. Graduates, your journey is just beginning. You are armed with the knowledge, the skills, and the compassion to make a real difference in the lives of your patients and your communities. Be bold, be curious, and never ever be afraid to break the pattern so that you can strive to be better. Congratulations, class of 2026. I am so incredibly proud of you. Go out and do great things, not just safe things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deb, for those inspiring remarks. You can't leave the stage yet because we have a small token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I would like to introduce Dr. Jace Jones, Associate Professor of Pharmaceutical Sciences, who served as an advisor to the class of 2026. He will also offer a few words of wisdom to our graduates. Dr. Jones?
Thank you. Good morning, graduates, families, friends, colleagues, and honored guests. To the class of 2026, congratulations. Today is a moment you have earned through discipline, sacrifice, late nights, early mornings, and an unwavering commitment to becoming pharmacists. It is my privilege to serve as your faculty class advisor and to walk beside you during this journey. As you prepare to leave this ceremony and step into the profession, I offer you a simple but powerful message, one that I hope will anchor you no matter where your career takes you. Be humble, stay hungry. First, be humble. You are graduating with advanced knowledge and hard-earned credentials. You are well-trained, capable, and ready. But humility is what will make you trusted. Humility will remind you that learning does not end with a diploma or a license. It's a continuous process. There will be moments when a patient teaches you something no textbook ever could, when a technician saves you from an error, when a colleague challenges your thinking. Be the pharmacist who listens first. Be the professional who admits when they don't know and then works relentlessly to find the answer. Resilience matters more than ego. Be humble. Progress is built on iteration, not perfection. As a pharmacist, be the professional who double checks the unexpected value. Question a therapy that doesn't quite fit. Invite collaboration when care is complex. Humility protects your patients. Humility is not a weakness. It is confidence grounded in respect for the science, for the team, and most importantly, for the patient. Second, stay hungry. Stay hungry for knowledge in a profession that evolves every day. Stay hungry for excellence when work becomes routine. Stay hungry for advocacy when patients and communities need a voice. Stay hungry to improve the systems you inherit rather than simply accepting them. You will enter a healthcare landscape that is demanding, complex, and at times exhausting. Stay hungry means refusing to become complacent. It means continuing to ask, how can pharmacy do better? How can I serve more effectively? What problem truly needs solving? And here is the balance. Humility keeps you grounded. Hunger keeps you moving forward. Together, they will shape not just the pharmacist you become, but the leader, the mentor, and the colleagues others look to. Class of 2026, you have already shown you can rise to challenges. You've supported each other through uncertainty, pressure, and change. Carry that same professionalism, empathy, and integrity in every role you assume. As you leave the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, remember this: your degree opens doors, but your character will define your legacy. Be humble in your authority, stay hungry in your purpose, and never forget the responsibility and the privilege for caring for others. Congratulations, doctors of pharmacy. The future of pharmacy is better because you are in it. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce class president, Reginald Briscoe, for a few words.
Good morning. Good morning to all visitors, faculty, staff, and most importantly, my fellow graduates. Give us a round of applause, man. We did this. Now, my class may know that I'm a man of few words, but I have some things to say. If you're here or watching online, that means you have supported my fellow graduates and I for the past 4 years. 4 years of tears, all-nighters, and anxiety about the things that come next. But what comes next for us is that we walk this stage and receive a diploma proving we have the skills and knowledge to attain the PharmD. But there's still much to do. I want to take some time to talk about some valuable things that we have learned on this journey and how we unknowingly overcame the fear of a doctoral program. Starting from the beginning, if you are here with the PharmD, we have something in common. We like drugs. And what I mean by that is, we found a passion for learning about how drugs affect the body to be fun. But we also developed a passion for putting that knowledge to use in patient care. Now let's all think back to our very first memories of pharmacy school. For me, I remember walking into the very first in-person open house after COVID with an afro down on my shoulders and Miss Sharp taking a photo of me in my white coat. I also remember my very first professional headshot with Mr. Parker and then bugging him for the photos for the next 2 weeks. But I had no idea that this was the calm before the storm. For the first semester, we would have to learn a whole textbook of biochemistry and genomics in 6 weeks, followed by physical chemistry and principles of drug action for the next 6 weeks. We also had lab on Tuesdays, GPM on Thursdays. Pharmacy school became my job at this point. But what we're all about to experience is life-changing, and there are 3 things that we learned to conquer this program. And I'll start with discipline. I'll never forget the orientation week at our SGA at the time. A student, Lowe, warned us about how we have a drug quiz the second week of school. Now, I don't know about you all, but that freaked me out. They started saying that we would need to know more and more about each drug, starting from box warnings, pharmacokinetics, and dosing. And this wasn't even the first week. But not long after, our first drug quiz came, and I truly cannot emphasize how much I studied, and I was still shaking in my boots. Well, this quiz was 30 questions, and I finished in less than 10 minutes. Afterwards, I was met with Fola, a second-year student at the time, telling me it wasn't even that bad. But from there, I knew I could do this. But what I didn't realize was that to be able to take that quiz and score as high as I did, I had to be disciplined. I made a schedule to study many hours, even after school. For example, in room 308, I sat with friends and went through countless PowerPoints together. We took turns in front of the classroom teaching each other and writing on the boards around the room what we need to study. That session was so productive that a lot of students stayed overnight in the classroom with an air mattress. This was the hardest that we've ever had to study up to this point. It's a doctoral degree. And it's supposed to push you and mold you into someone greater. But what separates a good student from another is discipline. And that means stay true to the regimens that you set for yourself to overcome these challenging courses. And there's nothing short of challenging courses here. I know we all remember a time when our class kicked our butts and received your first bad grade. You probably thought it was the end of the world for a moment. For me, it was pharmacoeconomics and epidemiology, I'll admit. But let's all think about those long stretches of times where we had exams every other week, and the only thing that you could do was prepare as hard as you can. Now take a moment to look around you. You all persevered. I like to use this metaphor for pharmacy school. Picture yourself sitting in a chair, being blasted by high volumes of water, but instead of water, it's words. It's words about how a medication causes this rash, or how that medication cannot be used with another medication. It was very difficult to survive this blast. However, we did it. We survived the blast because of the countless hours of studying and practicing with friends. The reason I put perseverance second is because it requires discipline to achieve it. Perseverance will not come to the undisciplined. But after graduation, our jobs will become much more challenging because we'll no longer have the comfort of our preceptors. Instead, it'll be up to us to apply the knowledge gained. Use your discipline and ability to persevere to overcome your upcoming challenge, becoming the pharmacist that you aspire to be, which requires leadership. The reason I put this last is because without the first two abilities, you will not be an efficient student leader. Many of us have been involved in leadership since the first year of school, and some of us joined later in our tenure. I got involved in SGA my first year, and it has shaped me into the person at the podium today. I graduated high school 10 years ago. I remember my class president speaking on the stage and thinking to myself, that will require a lot of confidence. I used to limit myself from pursuing high-profile leadership roles because I was too afraid to step out of my shell. What I soon realized was that I have always slowly broken that shell. I have always been a leader in my own way, from team captain of my football team and track team, to becoming an RA at Towson University, to becoming president of our SGA last year. In each of those positions, I also did my best to role model for those looking up to me. You see, leadership isn't just about being the spokesperson of an organization. It's also about inspiring others and serving as a role model. I will not forget the times underclassmen have told me about the inspirations that I instilled in them. I will also remember the times my faculty leadership instilled confidence in me. For example, my P1 year, I remember in Dr. Coop's office, him telling me to run for SGA president in my third year and saying that I would be a good fit. I also remember Dr. Laceworth telling me to join SGA in my second year to continue my aspirations for SGA. As I reflect on those moments, I'm very thankful for the leadership that I looked up to and after the work and all the work that I put in over the past 4 years. So I want to take some time to reflect on the moments that capture the work of our class. We had 2 organizations nationally win Chapter of the Year last year, CPFI and APHA. We had 4 organizations collaborate over the last 2 years to develop the Little Library system, where we instill more books into the community. We had student pharmacists ranked top 5 in a nationally recognized competition for SNAFA. We also have numerous vaccine clinics, provided Narcan education, and did many other initiatives to the Baltimore community. While sometimes the things we do aren't nationally recognized, we still make an impact on the community surrounding us, and that impact is what should continue to drive you forward. Be proud of your work, no matter how small, because you chose to do for others, and that in and of itself is a testament to your character. Being a pharmacist requires a disciplined leader who can persevere through many problems to optimally care for patients. This means that we speak up for our patients, inspire new learners, and use the skills that we learned here at UMSOP. That is how we move pharmacy forward. As I close, I will forever remember the small memories of our class. I remember having our very first class get-together at Iron Age in our P1 year. For those in the fraternity, I remember our very first formal for PDC and KY, and then meeting up downtown. I also remember a group of us placing a Christmas tree in the study room. Said Christmas tree then appeared in a video. I also remember acting as a patient with Parkinson's disease, not once, but twice. Thank you, Dr. Brandt. I enjoyed hearing your laughs. I will also remember the time we would bet on pharmacotherapy in Discord and what time it would end, and then being accused with Ali on collusion to extend the class to win the bet. I also remember having our bonus questions taken away in law, but then reinstated. There are many more memories that I wish I could mention, but I want you all to forever cherish the ones that you are thinking of right now and not forget each other. Class of 2026, it has truly, truly been an honor to serve you for the last 4 years. And I must announce the Faculty of the Year, but as Mr. President, here are my final words to you. Everything that you ever dreamed of is on the other side of fear. Take that leap. Thank you. All right. It's okay. Okay, so our Faculty of the Year Award is given to the faculty member who has had a large impact on our class throughout pharmacy school. This professor helped lay the foundation during our first semester, where she taught us calculations and pediatric patient management. She is famous for making learning fun, like making jokes like, "We're here to learn about poop," and making Kahoot games for us. She also helped solidify our clinical knowledge in pharmacotherapy too, and seeing us from the very beginning to the very end of our pharmacy didactics. She has always gone above and beyond to listen to our concerns as a class, and we cannot thank you enough. Dr. Jill Morgan, 2026 Faculty of the Year. Of course. You got a photo?
Yeah, let's get a photo. Oh.
Thank you all.
I'm going to take a minute. Thank you guys so much. I wish you all the best in your future. Go out and be great, and don't forget to take care of those kids.
All right, now I'm supposed to come back to the podium. So I'd like to welcome Arthur Pasqualini, President of the School of Pharmacy Student Government Association, who will present this year's Leadership Awards.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arthur Pasqualini, a rising fourth-year student pharmacist, and it's an honor to stand before you today as the president of this past year's Student Government Association. Leadership in pharmacy school isn't defined by who speaks the most. It's defined by who shows up the most. It's the people who stay dependable when things get hectic, who step forward when help is needed, who motivate others through their actions, and who continue to support those around them even during their own challenging moments. Leadership already exists throughout this room. Each of you have demonstrated resilience, commitment, and the quality it takes to lead within our profession. This leadership is why you're here today. But at this moment, we want to especially recognize 8 members of the class of 2026 who are recognized by their peers for their tremendous impact they've had within the school and the campus. At this time, it is my privilege to proudly recognize and present the recipients of the 2026 SGA Leadership Awards. Sana Badin. Reginald Briscoe III. Nana Esibre. Rachel Hall. Jiwon O. Olasheyi Olashupo. Jamie Padilla. Last and definitely not least, Raj Patel. Congratulations, everyone.
So next we have a series of awards for members of the graduating class, many of which are being presented by School of Pharmacy alumni who we're delighted to welcome to the stage. So first we have Dr. Tricia Snyder, President of the Maryland Society of Health System Pharmacy, and she will present MSHP's Student Achievement Award.
All right, good morning. It is my pleasure to present the Maryland Society of Health System Pharmacists Student Achievement Award. This award recognizes a student who has demonstrated academic excellence, leadership, and a clear commitment to health system pharmacy. Our recipient is Raj Patel. Faculty who have worked with Raj shared a robust perspective that highlights sustained excellence across classroom, experiential, and mentorship settings. In the classroom, he demonstrated strong clinical reasoning, intellectual curiosity, and professionalism. On his clinical rotations, he has excelled in health system environments, notably infectious disease, oncology, and medication therapy management, contributing to medication safety, stewardship, and interdisciplinary patient care teams with a systems-based mindset. Raj has paired scholarship with teaching and service. He presented research at ASHP mid-year, has an accepted practice publication, and supports peers as a peer tutor, course liaison, and teaching assistant. He seeks mentorship proactively and uses feedback to shape his career towards residency and specialty practice. His leadership is impact-driven. As chapter president of Phi Lambda Sigma, he organized mentorship for dozens of students and secured funding for chapter programs. He serves on national committees, in Phi Delta Chi, and in class government, always focused on mentorship, inclusion, and professional advancement. Our current MSHP, immediate past president, oversaw Raj as a pharmacy intern and notes that he was an extraordinary team player who demonstrated excellence in communication skills and prioritizing patient care needs. For his consistent academic achievement, demonstrated commitment to health system practice, and meaningful service-oriented leadership, please join me in congratulating Raj Patel as the MSHP Student Achievement Award recipient. Congratulations. This is for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We'll do a photo. Put you in the middle. Okay.
So next we have, we can do the round of applause, sorry. So next we have Dr. Laura Agua, President of the Maryland Pharmaceutical Society, who will present MPHS's award.
Good morning, esteemed faculty, alumni, proud families, and our graduates. It is my honor to present the Maryland Pharmaceutical Society MPHS Award today. This award is given in recognition of outstanding achievement and dedication to serving underserved populations in the field of pharmacy. Pharmacists play a critical role in our healthcare system, providing essential services and care to countless individuals. The MPHS Award celebrates not only academic excellence, but also the passion and commitment to advancing the profession in the state of Maryland. This year's recipient has demonstrated remarkable leadership as a member of the Student National Pharmaceutical Association and a deep commitment to both their studies and the well-being of their community. It is with great pleasure that I present the 2026 Maryland Pharmaceutical Society Award to Oluseyi Olashupo. Please join me in congratulating her on this well-deserved honor, and may continue to make a meaningful impact to those in need.
Now, next, Dr. Andrew Koop, Professor of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Associate Dean for Students, will present the Viatris Excellence in Pharmacy Award.
Congratulations. I am honored to present the Viatris Excellence in Pharmacy Award, which honors a graduate in the top 25% of the class who demonstrates a high professional motivation as well as superior proficiency in drug information services, to Zachary Giesemann. Always? Yes.
It's a small award.
There's a smaller one.
Do I hold it?
Yeah, hold it in the middle. Good. Where is it?
There's a small token from that. Ms. Alia Horton, Executive Director of the Maryland Pharmacists Association, will now present the MPHA Award.
Good morning. The Maryland Pharmacists Association is the largest professional society in Maryland with a mission to support and advocate for Maryland pharmacists, to advance their practice, and to improve the health of all Maryland residents. As you enter into your professional career, know that we're here to support your transition, and we want to congratulate you all on this occasion, of course, welcome you to join our community of pharmacists. Each year, MPHA is pleased to present an award and a $250 check to an outstanding student pharmacist who is a member of MPHA in good standing, has contributed to the organization and volunteer service, has demonstrated leadership in the advancement of pharmacy practice, and has earned a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. The student recognized today has served on the MPHA Board of Trustees, MPHA committees, and has volunteered to support many educational meetings of the association. She has also participated in multiple Maryland Pharmacy Coalition legislative days in Annapolis. MPHA is pleased to present Sana Badin with the 2026 Outstanding Student Achievement Award. Congratulations, and we look forward to continuing to work with you as a newly minted Doctor of Pharmacy. There you go. I guess you would come on this one.
Mr. David Jones and Dr. Daniel Mansour of the Maryland chapter of the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists will now present the organization's award.
Good morning, all. I look out here and I see the future. I pause to remember the past, and I am more than grateful to be able to be here today to celebrate the present with you. The American Society of Consultant Pharmacists is geared to enhancing the education, empowering the capabilities, and improving the performance of pharmacists in senior care. The Maryland chapter each year is privileged to recognize an outstanding student from each school of pharmacy, and I'm here today to share that honor. I'm going to turn the podium over to Dr. Daniel Mansour, who will do the actual presentation. Thank you.
So the measure of a compassionate, age-friendly health system is found in how we honor how we honor and care for our older adults. Older adults deserve more than longevity. They deserve dignity, purpose, connection, and compassionate care. And so the recipient of this award has demonstrated a strong commitment to geriatric care through active involvement in professional organizations. He or she has been the president of an organization, the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists. I think I gave it away. This dedication is reflected in engagement with geriatric-focused training, research, quality improvement projects, presentations, GATE events, and interprofessional education activities. Under preceptor supervision, the recipient consistently prioritizes needs of older adults and their families by ensuring safe, effective, and appropriate medication use while actively identifying, resolving, and preventing medication-related problems to support optimal therapeutic outcomes. Please help me congratulate Dr. Sarah O.
Joining us now to present the U.S. Public Health Service's Excellence in Public Health Pharmacy Award are Commanders Stephanie Daniels Costa and Tisha Robertson.
Good morning. The Pharmacists of the United States Public Health Service established the Excellence in Public Health Pharmacy Award in 2006 to encourage student pharmacists to become active in public health. Pharmacists are trusted, accessible healthcare providers, and they have the capability and responsibility to produce a positive impact on our nation's health by supporting members of their local community in living a healthy lifestyle. Pharmacy students have similar opportunities to make positive impacts on public health in their communities, and we hope that they strive to continue and increase those positive impacts as pharmacists after graduation. Pharmacists and pharmacy students alike are pivotal in advancing public health. This annual award recognizes pharmacy students who demonstrate a commitment to public health. We recognize student pharmacists who are active in developing innovative approaches to current public health challenges and those who will lead our nation to a healthier future.
This year, we are recognizing 85 pharmacy students from across the country for their innovative and impactful efforts to address current public health challenges. I am here to recognize one of those students today. The student is recognized for co-authoring evidence-based guideline updates for finerenone and leading a team in designing proposals for an application to help other adults access drug-to-drug interaction information. Based on her work, I am pleased to recognize on behalf of our Chief of Pharmacists, Rear Admiral Kelly Batiste, this year's recipient of the United States Public Health Service Excellence in Public Health Pharmacy Award from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy is Mahak Munir.
That's okay. We can do it here. Dr. Rachel Shelton of the school's Alumni Association will join us to present a special award from the Alumni Association.
Good morning, class of 2026. It is my sincere honor to congratulate each and every one of you on behalf of the Alumni Association. Really hope you guys stay involved. Small plug. But today it is my honor to present the Alfred Abramson Award to a graduating student who promoted or submitted an innovative pharmacy practice project that honors the legacy of Alfred Abramson. For those who may not be aware, Alfred Fred Abramson was not only a successful business owner here in Maryland, but he was also an esteemed faculty. His words of wisdoms, or Fredisms, are famous. And before I introduce the awardee of this honor, I would like to leave a few of them with you as I again plug the Alumni Association. So first, it is not a sin to make money. Second, thank you, parents. Second, surround yourself with smart people, and I would say you guys are off to a great start. And then third, smile when you answer the phone. It will make the biggest difference in that person's life. I've learned a lot in my 4 years since graduations. So the caller can hear it in your voice, so please smile when you answer the phone. So today, in the honor and the legacy of Alfred Abramson and his trailblazing entrepreneurial spirit, I would like to present the Alfred Abramson Entrepreneur Award to Ji-Won Oh.
So now Dr. Koop will return to the podium to present this year's academic awards.
Thank you, Dean Michelle. The Andrew G. DeMay Award for Superior Proficiency in Pharmacy goes to Vraj Patel. Thank you, thank you. The Terry Paul Crobo Award in Pharmacy Practice for Performance and Promise to uphold the highest standards of the profession goes to Christine Rojas. The Lambda Kappa Sigma Epsilon Alumni Chapter Cole Award for Proficiency in Pharmacy Administration goes to G10. The William Simon Memorial Prize for superior work in the field of medicinal chemistry, practical and analytical chemistry goes to Derek Lai. Thank you. The Wagner Pharmaceutical Jurisprudence Prize for meritorious academic achievements in pharmaceutical jurisprudence goes to Noor El-Shimi. The John F. Wanadwetch Memorial Prize for Exceptional Performance and Promise in the Practice of Community Pharmacy goes to Daniel Butts. The Conrad L. Wick Prize for Exceptional Work in Medicinal Chemistry and Pharmacognosy goes to Zachary Giesemann. The L.S. Williams Practical Pharmacy Prize to the student having the highest general average basic average grade GPA in basic and applied pharmaceutics goes to Sana Badin. Okay, the Academic Excellence Award. This is given to the student with the highest overall GPA at graduation. Now, despite the best interests of our faculty down here, we have one student with a perfect 4.0. Jinwen Wang.
So every year, members of the graduating class select preceptors for the Preceptor of the Year Awards in recognition of their importance to the class. And I'd like to recognize them all. If you're in the audience, please stand when I call your name. Dr. Andrew Rubio of MedStar Montgomery Medical Center is new Preceptor of the Year. Dr. Sarah Eliza of Walgreens is IPPE Preceptor of the Year. Dr. Michael Francis of Kaiser Permanente Woodlawn Medical Center is APPE Preceptor of the Year, And our own Dr. Amy Howard of the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy is Faculty Preceptor of the Year. So congratulations to all the student award winners and our preceptors. And so now we've come to the reason that you're here, the high point of this morning's festivities, introducing each member of the class of 2026 and presenting them with a hood representing the Doctor of Pharmacy degree. Graduates, you're about to receive the doctoral hood, signifying completion of the highest professional degree in pharmacy. Wearing it celebrates the fact that you've successfully completed our rigorous curriculum and joined the ranks of those with doctorates in pharmacy. It means you're now ready to lead, to practice, and to innovate. The traditional olive color on the pharmacy hood represents the caring profession you're entering, a profession that depends upon your application of the scientific and clinical knowledge you trained in while at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. With the guidance of the faculty and your preceptors and the support of your families, friends, and classmates, you have become experts in pharmacy, and it's now time for you to receive the symbol of that great accomplishment. So presenting the doctoral hoods today are the following faculty, all selected by the class of 2026. Dr. Mojdeh Heavner, Professor of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research and Assistant Dean for Experiential Learning. Dr. Cherokee Layson-Wolf, Professor of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research. Dr. Jill Morgan, Professor and Chair of the Department of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research and our Teacher of the Year. And Dr. C.S. Raman, Associate Professor of Pharmaceutical Sciences. They will be assisted by Dr. Christine Parbuoni, Associate Professor of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research and Assistant Dean for the PharmD Student Life and Student Success. Class President Reginald Briscoe and Dr. Jace Jones will read the names of our graduates. And then Dr. Katie Pincus and Dr. Christine Parbuoni, Associate Professors of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research, will present certificates for completion of our pharmacotherapy pathway. And finally, Dr. Magali Rodriguez de Bittner, Professor of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research and Associate Dean for Clinical Services and Practice Transformation, will present certificates of completion for our pharmapreneurship pathway. Now, each graduate will have their picture taken by a professional photographer as they come off the stage, and then those photos will be available to you. And I'd like to ask that family and friends remain mindful of the stage area as you take your personal photos. It gets a bit busy, so everyone can see, and so that the flow of graduates on and off the stage is not interrupted. So with all those details, let's begin.
She says she only wants her last name read, so just change it. All right. I love you. I love you. I ran through it all with them.
Okay. Let's do 5 and 5.
Okay. We can do that.
Are we ready?
Starts.
Yes, and I'll try to mark them all. Are we ready? Shabnam Alavi. Oh, doctor. Sorry, Dr. Shabna Alavi. Dr. Aruba Ali. Dr. Karen Ame Geshi. Dr. Daniel Arnold. Dr. Tiffany Batista.
Dr. Sana Bedin. Dr. Nana Asibre. Dr. Taylor Bryant. Dr. Daniel Butts. Dr. Alejandra Caban Rivera.
Dr. Jing Chen. Dr. Danielle Doan. Dr. Jillian Dahl. Dr. Christine Donez.
Dr. Yolande Akinja. Dr. Noor Elshimi. Dr. Dion Forbin. Dr. Zachary Giesemann. Dr. Heidi Gonzalez Ramirez.
Dr. Althaniel Guicedo. Dr. Rachel Hall. Dr. Juan Wang. Dr. Cameron Isaacs.
She wants Haley. Haley June. Haley? Yeah. I asked her. Okay.
Dr. Haley Jung.
Dr. Ali Khan. Dr. Chloe Kim. Dr. Margaret Knott. Dr. Anna Koiro May. Dr. Derek Lai.
Dr. Lana Lee. Dr. Malika Linares. Dr. Ezra Malash. Dr. Samira Musavi. Dr. Mihek Munir.
Dr. Neha Munir. Dr. Christina Nguyen. Dr. Idara Obot. Dr. Peter Ufori Nuama. Dr. Jiwon Oh.
Dr. Sarah O. Dr. Olishehi Olashipo. Thank you.
Kingsley Onukofor.
Dr. Kingsley Onukofor. Dr. Jamie Padilio. Dr. Deepak Putal.
Dr. Shiv Patel. Dr. Vraj Patel. Dr. Zoe Plank. Dr. Sonia Regmi. Dr. Christine Rojas. I'm gonna go in the back. Okay.
Dr. Noor Sheikh. Dr. Ming Song. Dr. Nigel Thomas Gibson. Dr. Devin Tufani. Dr. Samiha Odin. Dr. Holly Verbrugge. Dr. Aline Wagner. Dr. Jin Wang. Dr. Savannah Wright. Dr. Sulat Yibetal. And last but not least, Dr. Renajal Briscoe.
So congratulations to our newest doctors of pharmacy. So I'd now like to introduce Dr. Adiro Arifau, a commissioner of the Maryland Board of Pharmacy, who will administer the Pharmacist Oath, which is included in your program. Dr. Arifau.
Good morning. And on behalf of the Maryland Board of Pharmacy, I want to say congratulations to the class of 2026. Wow, how time flies. I sat in a similar hall 18 years ago, graduating from this same school. I was very nervous, excited, and honestly, I had no idea how far this moment will take me. But here's what I know now that I wish I knew then. This is not just a ceremony. This is the moment your life changes direction permanently. From today, every room you walk into, every patient you counsel, every decision you make, you walk in as a pharmacist. That identity never leaves you. The oath you're about to take is not a formality. It's a contract with your patients, with your profession, and most importantly, with yourself. You are entering pharmacy at one of the most extraordinary moments in its history. Artificial intelligence is reshaping how we deliver care. Health equity is no longer optional, it is the standard. The Pharmacist of 2026 is not just a dispenser of medications. You're a clinician, you're an advocate, you're a leader, and you're an innovator. This profession will ask more of you than you expect. There'll be moments of doubt, lead anyway. There'll be systems that resist change, advocate anyway. There'll be patients who have been failed before they ever reached you, show up anyway. The last line of this oath you're about to take, preparing the next generation, that is why I am standing here today. You are my why. And one day, one of you will stand up at a podium just like this one, 18 years from now, and do the same for the class of 2044. That is the covenant of this profession, and it starts right now. Please stand up, graduates, if you could stand up and raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I promise to devote myself to a lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy. In fulfilling this vow, I will consider the welfare of humanity and relief of suffering my primary concerns. I will promote inclusion and belonging, respect differences in all individuals, and address health disparities to advance health equity for all people. I will apply my knowledge, experience, and skills to the best of my ability to assure optimal outcomes for all patients. I will respect and protect all personal and health information entrusted to me. I will accept the responsibility to improve my professional knowledge and self-awareness. I will hold myself and my colleagues to the highest principles of our profession's moral, ethical, and legal conduct. I will embrace and advocate changes that improve patient care. I will utilize my knowledge and skills, experiences, and values to prepare the next generation of pharmacists. I take these vows voluntarily with the full realization of the responsibility with which I am entrusted by the public. Congratulations, class of 2026. Welcome to the profession. Now let's get to work. Thank you.
So congratulations again to all of our newest doctors of pharmacy. You are now officially graduates of the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. All right, so now some logistics. I'd like to ask the class of 2026 to stay in their seats for the traditional class photo to be taken. And then I'd like to ask everyone else in the audience to remain seated until the platform party, followed by the faculty, have left the theater. And then guests, please meet with your graduate in the lobby, and there'll be staff and volunteers who will direct you to the location. And so graduates, a final word: make us proud and visit often. Congratulations.
Oh, okay. Actually,
we should just move it.
Yeah, let's just move it.